I'm Don, 56 years old. I've been called humble, simple, even invisible. None of them were compliments. My son Nathan says I keep things low-key. What he doesn't know is I've built enough wealth to disappear. People don't fear ghosts. They forget them. That's how I've stayed safe. My invitation to the Lancaster estate didn't come from Colin, my son-in-law. It came from Nathan. Voice tight, words clipped. Dad, can you come tonight? Ava's parents want to finally meet you. I knew what it meant. They weren't meeting me. They were inspecting me. Westchester's elite had a way of dressing you down without touching your clothes. They used forks, smiles, eye contact, tiny scalpels disguised as etiquette. And I was walking into their surgical theater. The Lancaster mansion towered like it hated the neighborhood it ruled over. Stone archways, 3 fountains, a roundabout drive thick with BMWs and Porsches. I parked my dusty Impala across the street. Out of sight, out of class. A valet glanced at me, then looked away fast, like poverty might be contagious. I rang the bell. It didn't chime. The door opened before I could knock again. Veronica Sinclair, Ava's cousin, lips tight, eyes calculating. "You're early," she said. "I'm never late." She stepped aside. They're in the drawing room. The floor under my shoes didn't creak. Marble doesn't complain. Inside, chandeliers, oil paintings, books you don't read but display. I didn't belong, and that was the point. Nathan met me halfway across the hall. His smile was apologetic, like he was already bracing for something. "Dad, glad you made it." "Only took me 20 years to earn dinner," I said. He winced. Colin Lancaster stood across the room, arms folded. His suit cost more than my car, but it didn't fit his arrogance. Ava stood beside him, holding a champagne flute like a shield. Then someone whispered, not loud, not soft, just perfect enough to carry. "Who let this beggar in?" Silence spread like spilled wine. Nathan tried to speak. Colin cleared his throat. Veronica fake laughed. I walked toward the center of the room. Rule 1 of surviving the rich: never flinch. They smell weakness like wolves smell blood. "I'm Don," I said, "father of the groom's disappointment." A few chuckles. Nervous. Performative. They led me toward the dining room. I didn't sit. Not yet. A butler passed by with a tray. I took a glass. Didn't drink. Ava leaned close. "You okay?" "Fine," I said. "Reminds me of the time your husband gave me a handshake and then checked his wallet." She smiled, lips tight. "Tonight won't be easy." "Nothing worth it ever is." As we sat down, Veronica clinked her glass. "We're so glad Nathan has someone steady in his life. Someone real." That wasn't a compliment. That was code. Colin tapped his knife lightly. "I think it's good for our family to see where people come from and where they're going," I said. He grinned. "Well, hopefully not too far." The table stilled. My pulse didn't. I reached into my jacket pocket, slowly, pulled out the cloth handkerchief. Not the USB. Not yet. The USB stayed tucked behind my belt, where it had been for hours. I glanced at Nathan. He looked away. There's a saying I like. Some men build ladders, others dig holes. I built ladders for decades. The Lancasters? They've been digging holes, and soon they'll fall into one they can't crawl out of. I took a sip of champagne. Bitter. Too dry. I smiled anyway. If they wanted a beggar, they should have prayed I stayed one. The garden was manicured to hell. Every hedge clipped like it was prepping for surgery. White lanterns floated on wire like they were pretending to be stars. Soft jazz curled through the night air. Ella Fitzgerald, or someone trying too hard to be. I kept moving. I didn't belong still. Guests milled in polished shoes, crystal clinking like quiet laughter. No one looked directly at me. I was background, a prop. That's the trick, I muttered to myself. Stay invisible long enough, and people start revealing things. A waiter passed. I snagged another champagne, held it just long enough to look civilized, then placed it on the tray of another one walking by. Chess pieces. They moved. I watched. Nathan was across the lawn, locked in some tense whispering match with Ava. She gestured once. Sharp. He nodded. She didn't smile. "Happy marriages don't need translators," I said under my breath. Colin was inside, flanked by 2 older men in suits too stiff for comfort. One of them laughed at something. Colin didn't. He stared through the window at me. I turned, walked along the stone path toward the back entrance, needed a moment alone, needed to breathe. Inside, the servants' corridor smelled of lemon oil and control. I found a side restroom, locked the door, pulled out the USB. Tiny thing. Black plastic. Nothing fancy, but it held everything. Transfer records, loan shells, a full family trust structure routed through offshore accounts, all tagged to the Lancaster Foundation. I'd copied it from a shared drive months ago, one accidentally left open on a guest laptop during a holiday brunch. Nothing is ever an accident in a house like this, but I had clicked anyway. You don't wait for justice in this world. You grab it by the throat. I pulled my phone, slid the USB into the adapter. The transfer began. A knock. I froze. Another knock, slower this time. Then silence. I waited. 1 minute, 2. Nothing. Transfer. 42%. 59%. Bathroom vent hummed. Light flickered once, 73%. Then the screen glitched. A system notification popped up. Device not recognized. No, no, no. The file window blinked, disappeared, gone. I yanked the USB, looked closer. It was different, lighter. A fake? Check your pocket. Nothing. They'd swapped it. I'd been baited. I flushed the toilet, washed my hands, dried them slowly, exhaled, walked out into the hallway like nothing had happened. Then I heard it. 2 voices. Through the cracked office door, Colin and Veronica. If the old man finds out, we'll burn him before the feds get close. Veronica didn't laugh. I told you not to invite him. He showed up anyway, just like always, too proud to stay gone. I told you, he doesn't scare easy. People like him, people who've lost everything, they start believing they can't be killed. A long pause. Colin's voice dropped. Then maybe it's time we tested. That? I backed away before the floor creaked. Down another hall, out a side door, back into the cold garden light. I smiled at a couple walking past me. Just another guest, another nobody. They smiled back. Pity in their eyes. I passed the back patio and into the hedge maze they bragged about in that architectural magazine. Useless. Symbolic. Every wall in this place was about misdirection. I found a bench near the center. Sat. Pulled my jacket tighter. Wind moved through the leaves. Not gently. My hands shook. The USB was gone. They knew I had it. They had plans. And someone in this house wasn't just laundering money. They were laundering me. They're not just hiding secrets. They're framing me. The library reeked of varnish and smoke. Leather-bound books lined the walls like props in a courtroom drama. Each title was there to signal pedigree, not substance. I moved fast. The butler had stepped away. The hallway behind me was empty. Too quiet. Click. Door shut. I scanned the room. Desk, locked drawer, decanter set untouched. No cameras. Too classy for overt security, but that didn't mean they weren't watching. I pulled the drawer, locked. No time for subtle. Used a letter opener, quick jab under the latch. Pop. Inside, 2 contracts. Crisp. Fresh. My name printed clean across the top. One was a trustee appointment, authorizing a new holding account under my identity. The second, a limited power of attorney, signed. In my handwriting. I never touched them. My stomach twisted, forging a signature in New York State. Class D felony. Up to 7 years. But if it looked real, if it was filed, processed, cross-referenced, it wouldn't matter what I said. Perception beats truth every damn time. I took out my phone, snapped photos every page. Behind me, floorboards creaked. I turned. Nathan, hair messed, collar loose, eyes. Not shocked enough. You weren't supposed to see that. My throat dried. You knew. He didn't answer. I taught you how to read contracts, how to spot a shell company in 3 steps, and you stood here, watching them gut me. Dad, you let them. His voice cracked. Ava didn't know. She needed help. Colin said it was temporary, said your name made it cleaner, easier to push it through with the banks. That's how they always justify it. It's just your name. Just a favor. You give them a drop and they drown you in it. You don't understand. I understand everything. He looked broken. Good. You ever heard this? I said. Power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. And it just revealed exactly who the hell you are. I pushed past him, down the hall, through the ballroom now half cleared. The music was off. Silence pressed like water. People watched me. They always had. They just never thought I'd look back. In the kitchen, I scanned for exits, then spotted a narrow stairwell, down, basement. No staff followed. I moved quickly. Dim bulbs, exposed pipe, dust everywhere. It smelled like secrecy. Storage crates, old wine. A broken mirror leaned against the wall, cracked into 7 shards. My face split across them. I opened a metal cabinet. Inside, documents, USBs, an old tablet. I flipped it on, locked, but the screensaver was a spreadsheet. I recognized names, not just mine. Political donors, PACs, real estate transfers, dates, amounts, codes. This wasn't about me anymore. I wasn't just the scapegoat. I was the insurance policy. The lights flickered. I turned. Someone was there. Veronica. Hair pinned tight, makeup perfect, a storm behind her eyes. You, Wes, shouldn't be down here. Neither should a forged POA in your desk upstairs. Her mouth twitched. You think you're clever, Dawn? No, I just have less to lose than you do. A pause. Her hand drifted to her purse. I stepped closer. If there's a gun in there, make sure it's clean. You won't survive the trial. She didn't flinch. You have no idea what you've walked into. That's where you're wrong. I lifted the tablet. You didn't just use me. You exposed your whole damn operation. I moved fast. Up the stairs, through the service hallway, into the main corridor, found the dining room, empty, found the fireplace, tapped the mantel, behind the painting, small security panel, keypad. I typed in Eva's birthday. Nothing. Tried Nathan's. Denied. I stared, then smiled. Colin's birthday. Accepted. The wall clicked, swung open. Behind it, a private server, humming, warm. I connected the tablet. Transfer. Initiated. Seconds crawled. The house creaked again. Outside, thunder cracked. Rain hit glass and sheets. The screen blinked. Transfer. 98%. 99%. Complete. I grabbed the drive. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Shouts. Too late. They turned me into the perfect scapegoat. But I built empires from nothing. Now I'll burn theirs to the ground. I didn't run. Not yet. Running makes you prey. I walked fast, jaw tight, body loose, slipping back into the garden like I'd only stepped away for a smoke. Rain started to fall. A fine mist first, then sharp needles, the kind that carried weight. Guests scattered under awnings. Music started again. Too loud, too smooth. A distraction, always. I kept walking, toward the back of the estate, past the lit hedges, past the koi pond Eva once bragged about like it meant she was cultured. My hands itched. I still felt the drive in my pocket, still warm. The data had been copied, but I didn't have long. I needed an off-ramp. Lanterns flickered above me. Shadows swayed. A shape moved left, then right. I froze. The wind howled. Leaves rustled behind me. I turned. Nothing. Then metal against stone. A whisper, attic. I spun. No one there. Just air. The door to the east wing creaked open. I moved through it without thinking. Another hallway. Dark. Unused. Smelled. Like old paper and secrets. One flight, then another, then a hatch above a linen closet. The attic. I pulled it down, climbed, closed it. No one followed. Yet. The space was cramped, dust thick as fog, boxes everywhere, stacked like forgotten confessions. I stepped around a trunk, and there it was. A gunmetal filing cabinet. No lock. Inside, photos. Black and white. Color, surveillance stills. My face. At gas stations. At coffee shops. From months ago. Another folder. Medical records. Faked diagnoses. Psychiatric notes. Claims I'd been paranoid. Delusional. Erratic. Perfect if someone needed me discredited. Next, banking forms. Authorizations tied to accounts I'd never seen. One name stood out. Nathan's. I sat down, hard. He's not just in the way, I whispered. He's in this. Under the last folder, an envelope marked private. I opened it. Inside, a birth certificate. Not mine, not Nathan's. Colin's. Except it wasn't. Different mother, different father, and a note scrawled in sharp ink. Cover this, or it all unravels. The attic moaned. Steps below. Shadows flickered through the slats of the floorboards. Someone was coming up. I pulled back, crouched behind a beam. Silent. The hatch opened. A flashlight beam scanned. Heavy steps followed. Veronica, again. But she wasn't alone. Colin was behind her, face hard, shirt soaked, eyes black. He was done pretending. Veronica hissed, "We can't leave this open." He pointed at the cabinet. "Get it all." I moved quietly around the other side, reached the small window, pushed it open. Rain blasted in. 10 feet below, the garden balcony. I climbed onto the sill. They heard me. Colin turned. "He's up." I jumped, landed bad, rolled, felt something tear in my shoulder. Didn't matter. I was up, running, cut left, through the garden arch, into the dark trees lining the back fence. Shouts behind me. Footsteps chasing. A hand grabbed my jacket. I spun, slammed an elbow back. Heard a grunt. Didn't look. I made it to the gardener's shed, slammed the door, locked it. Inside, tools, old batteries, spider webs. I pulled out my burner phone, popped the SIM, inserted the data card, uploaded the contents of the drive to a secure backup. Lightning flashed, lit up the shed. I saw my reflection in the cracked mirror nailed to the wall. I didn't look like a beggar anymore. I looked like a weapon. The rain fell harder now. I stepped outside. Sirens in the distance. Not coming yet, but close. If this house burns, it won't be just reputations. It'll be dynasties. The rain was relentless now. Not poetic, not cleansing, just cold and loud, like the world wanted to drown the truth before it made it out. I moved across the backfield, boots sinking into mud, trees on my left, hedge maze on my right, the shed behind me already swallowed in shadow. Lights flickered in the mansion, one by one, power fluctuations or signals. I stayed low, cut across the lawn, and entered the east veranda. My shoulder screamed from the fall, but I pushed through. Pain meant I was still moving, still dangerous. You don't stop when you're bleeding. You stop when you're dead. The ballroom was empty. A champagne flute lay on its side near the piano, red lipstick mark on the rim. No one had cleaned it up. That wasn't like the Lancasters. They didn't leave fingerprints, metaphorical or literal. Something had shifted. I crossed to the hallway and turned right. The security panel near the study was lit up, blinking red. Offline, which meant someone pulled the system manually. No fire, no storm damage. Someone inside wanted the cameras off. I reached for my phone, dialed the one contact that still owed me favors. Mira. Static. Jesus. Mira, come on. More static. Then, Dawn. Talk. I've got what you need. Lancaster's internal ledger, Colin's offshore setup, Veronica's fake med files, everything. Pause. Then, you're being watched. No kidding. Not by them, by us. Cut. Click. Line dead. I stared at the screen. Then the hallway lights cut. Dark. Silence. Then shuffling. Fast. I moved. Out at the back door. Onto the side deck. I heard it then. Glass shattering 2 rooms over. Someone had entered. Not through the front. Not polite. I cut around the side path to the kitchen. The door was ajar. Inside, a figure in black stood with their back to me. I raised the crowbar I'd taken from the shed, stepped forward. Then the figure turned. Nathan. His eyes locked on mine. He didn't flinch. "Dad, you broke in. I had to come back. You were right." "About what?" "I didn't know everything. I thought they were just using your name. For security. For show. But they were setting you up." He pulled something from his coat. "Flash drive. Not the one I had. A different one. This has backups. From the firm. From their tax prep service. I got it before they wiped the servers. You stole from Colin?" "No, I stole from Eva." Silence. "She's in this too." "I don't know anymore." Then the kitchen door swung open. Colin, his suit was soaked, his tie gone. One hand clenched at his side. The other held a pistol. "You two lovebirds done?" Nathan froze. Colin stepped inside slow. "You should have stayed gone, Don." I kept my eyes on the weapon. Colin laughed. "Funny how the world works. You build a little company, sell it off, retire. Then suddenly, your name's worth more than your mind ever was." I took a slow step sideways. "You framed me. To protect yourself." "No. To erase myself. See, if you go down in flames, hell, that makes me look clean. The poor in-law with the naive ideas. The dumb heir who trusted the wrong man." He raised the gun. "Thing is, I don't need you to disappear. I just need you discredited. Dead is just extra insurance. Then, crack. The window behind him shattered. A shot. Colin spun. Blood on his arm. Red dot on his chest. Then a voice through a speaker. Drop it, Colin. This is the FBI. Sirens, floodlights, yelling. The back doors burst open. Agents swarmed. Colin dropped the gun, snarling. 2 men pinned him, dragged him out. Nathan stared at the scene, white-faced. I didn't move. I didn't speak. Just watched the man who tried to ruin me get shoved into a black SUV. The agent in charge turned to me. You Don Hartwell? I nodded. He handed me a sealed envelope. Thought you might want this. It was never supposed to be filed, but someone did. At the trust office, under your son's login. My fingers went cold. I opened it. Transfer of power, Nathan's signature, filed 3 weeks ago. My son didn't just let them frame me, he helped write the script. The ballroom looked different in daylight. No music, no laughter, just silence and scuff marks on the marble where agents had stormed in hours before. Chairs overturned, silver trays abandoned mid-service. The illusion broken. Colin was gone. Veronica, too. Both in custody. Both denying everything. But the paper trail didn't lie. And neither did the footage. The moment Colin whispered, "Erase him" on camera, the house of cards collapsed. Nathan sat alone at the head of the long table, head bowed, suit jacket folded neatly beside him, like it deserved more respect than he did. I stepped inside. My boots echoed. He didn't look up. "You filed it," I said. His voice was barely there. "I didn't think it'd go through." "That's not the defense you think it is." He exhaled, long and slow. "Eva told me it was temporary, that your name would give us leverage. She said I could fix it after." "Fix it?" I laughed, cold, bitter. "You were going to fix identity theft, wire fraud, federal racketeering." Silence. Then, "I wanted to be seen, just once, not as your son, as something real, on my own." "That's the tragedy," I said. "You were. You just didn't believe it long enough." He looked up finally, eyes bloodshot, face drawn. "Do you hate me?" I paused. "No." It came out like ash. "I'm disappointed. That's worse." I left him there, let the weight settle where it belonged. Outside, the FBI was still packing evidence into black vans. The news crews had arrived, circling like flies. I slipped through the side entrance, past the broken window, past the lawn where I'd landed in the rain, where this all began. Lila stood at the end of the drive. Sharp suit, no smile. "Clean shot," she said, right to the chest. "I didn't know you were watching." "You never asked who called the FBI." My eyes narrowed. "Why?" She shrugged. "Colin got sloppy. Too many hands in. Too many pockets. I figured if I dropped a match, you'd know how to burn the place down." "I didn't think you cared." "I didn't." She paused, until I remembered who taught me how to read numbers backward. I smiled. Barely. "You still owe me lunch," she added. I nodded. "After the indictments." We shook hands. Quick, no words left. I drove back to the motel, packed in silence. One bag, one folder. I turned on the old TV. News anchors were spinning it already. Disgraced family empire. Shocking betrayal by Inner Circle. They didn't say my name. That was good. I turned it off. Sunlight filtered through the blinds, slicing the room into sharp angles. I opened the window, let the air in. "You know what they never tell you?" I said to no one. "That justice doesn't feel clean. It feels heavy, like revenge, but quieter." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text only. "We saw what you did." He wasn't the only one. Laundering power. No name. No sender. I stared at it. Deleted it. Then burned the SIM. You never win these things. You just survive them longer than your enemies. I grabbed my coat, stepped outside. A kid rode past on a bike, plastic bag over his head to block the rain. He waved. I waved back. Not everything breaks. Not everyone becomes the thing they hate. Sometimes a beggar just walks out of the fire carrying the truth. I gave them the chance to respect the beggar. They chose war.